Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1:02 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois, getting a little bit of a late start. Sorry about that, everybody. But it is time for another live stream. Today is Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. Because it's Tuesday, it's Trivia Tuesday. And today's Trivia Tuesday is going to be Chicago Marathon Myths. We got the Chicago Marathon on Sunday coming right up. And for those of you, Baltimore Marathon weekend, Baltimore Running Festivals on Friday, is it? Chicago Marathon's on Saturday. No, Baltimore Running Festival is on Saturday. Chicago's on Sunday. Boston is on Monday. I think the Manchester Marathon's also this weekend. Is that right? Is that still on? I thought that got canceled. Well, someone was telling me about Manchester Marathon in the comments the other day. So there's a lot of races going on. Let me know if you're racing this weekend in a race that I haven't even mentioned yet. Love to make sure that you guys get some encouragement as well. But it is time for the live stream. Let's get started by first saying hi to everyone on the podcast version. Here in Chicago, it is like cool and so humid that it's a bit foggy and kind of drizzling. And you know what? I'm kind of hoping that that's the weather we get for the weekend. I'm not sure if we're going to get that or not, but hopefully that's what we have wherever you are. Hopefully you're having a good run or a safe commute home. And for everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully you're sitting back with a nice recovery beverage. I've got some coffee with me today, an afternoon coffee. And I've been thinking though that maybe I need to start just pounding some sports drinks because I've been, in my race week preparations, been very attuned to what other people are doing and second guessing everything that I've been doing. I don't know if you guys are doing the same thing. All right. So maybe I need to drink a lot more. I was looking at Megan Featherston's post from Wine Glass Marathon last weekend, and she said that she takes in 500 grams of carbs per day for a couple of days leading up to the marathon. And I was just like, that is not possible. But apparently that's what it is. I signed up for her newsletter, and I downloaded her carb intake guide, and it says, for my weight, I should also be taking in about 500 grams of carbs per day, which seems like a lot. I don't know if I actually get that much. I don't count stuff, so I don't know if I get that much or not. But we'll talk about that more, and we'll also do some Chicago Marathon trivia as well. But first, let's see who's here in the chat. We get Frank says, suggest myths that aren't really myths before we start. Frank says, if you rub the bean before the race, you won't have to use a porta potty during the race. I like that one. I think that's a good one. And we're going to be ending the shakeout run at the bean, so everyone rub it. I've only touched like a couple of times. I usually don't touch it because then I don't want to get fingerprints on it because it's a big chrome structure. And I know that they do clean it regularly, but still, I like to look at it. I don't want to touch it. But if you guys want to rub the bean on the shakeout run, definitely you guys can do that. Frank's got a whole bunch of them. So the race is actually longer than 26.2 miles by exactly the height of the Sears Tower. I like that. That's awesome. Frank says, if an Irish person wins a race, they dye the river green the next day. Can you imagine if they did that? Man, that's funny. That's so funny. All right. And let's see what we got. Frank says the brownie was invented at Chicago post-race nutrition. There is an area near downtown that is like a chocolate factory, and in the mornings, if you're running in that area, it smells like brownies. I don't know if that place is still in business or not, but yeah, definitely there is an area. It's kind of like near Fulton or like Randolph, where the restaurants are in that area. Near Goose Island. It just smells like brownies all the time. So that I feel like that one could be a good one. I like that one. All right. Frank, you were bored today. You got so many. All right. We got Dr. Josh in here. He says, what up, Kofuzi fam? What's going on, Josh? Hopefully your prep is going well. Josh is someone else whose videos I've been watching all week. I mentioned phantom pains earlier, that I was having some in a video maybe 2 or 3 videos ago. And he made a video about phantom pain. And I was thinking about it because yesterday, which was this morning. Yesterday was a rest day. I did nothing. I did, some mobility stuff. I did my massage gun and things like that, but I didn't do any running. Today when I woke up, it felt like my feet, like I had just run a very long run. My feet felt really tender on the pads of the feet underneath. I was like, what the heck is happening? By the time I like walked around a little bit and got the kids to school after that, then I felt fine, but I had all these phantom pains. But Dr. Josh made a really good video about that, explaining just how crazy I am. So there's that. Philip Bourne says, about yesterday. So being from a bridge during a marathon, socially accepted, right? I don't know, but you know what I've also heard? I've also heard that during some triathlons on the bike, people will just pee. And people will pee in a triathlon in their wetsuits. So that's why you shouldn't really rent a wetsuit. So I've heard all sorts of things like that. There's pee everywhere. It's in endurance sports, there's pee, right? But yeah, I'm not sure about the peeing from the bridge thing. I think we've established that it's mostly true. I think so. I'm gonna believe it. Jason Dell says, "What's up, everyone?" Jason, how you doing? You getting ready? And it says, "Hi, Kaboozing, everybody. Listening while working again tonight. No run yet with Pit. Boo. Oh, it must be a real busy day then. Well, hopefully it's not too crazy for you right now." Frank says, in 1986, the number one rap song by a professional sports team was about the Chicago Marathon. That's a really good question because it's almost true. It's almost true. That's funny. And we got one. Let's see. Where'd it go? Ali B says the volume's too low. Volume's too low. All right, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, but I feel like I'm trying to really stay really close to the mic, and I can turn it up a little bit. I'll turn it up on the software side. We'll go up to here, and we'll see how it goes. Kasaba Todd says, "What is Rub a Bean?" The bean is a public art piece of art. It's a sculpture. It's technically called Cloud Gate. It's a big chrome structure that's supposed to look like a cloud. It's the size of like a small house, I guess, or like a garage, and a workshop, as they call it in the Midwest, in the rural Midwest, or a carriage house. And people in Chicago would just call it the bean because it looks like a big bean, and you can rub it for good luck, I guess. That's what they say. All right, we got Brendan coming in with the super chat and says, "Just I can't catch a live stream before the marathon for a post-race beer. Good luck." Well, thanks so much, Brendan. Really appreciate that. Definitely will put that to good use. Yeah, I think that this weekend we had a super chat dedicated to getting some Intelligentsia coffee, and now we got Brendan coming in with a super chat for a post-race beer. Thanks so much. It will be put to good use, sir. All right. Thomasville says, peeing on an Ironman course is real. REAL, all caps. Michael Crespo says, good afternoon from Minneapolis. Good afternoon, Michael. And Nathan Jawali says, are you gunning for sub 3? No, not today. That's not gonna be this weekend. Hopefully we'll be in a position to do it in December, which is, that marathon will be like 8 weeks away by the time we get to there. But like Chicago will be this weekend, and then next week I'll be 8 weeks out from CIM. So like this is like not exactly a training run, but it'll be I guess a milepost. Is that a good way to put it? I'm not sure. Mark Peterson also coming in from Minneapolis. Awesome. I know that there's probably a lot of Petersons in Minneapolis, but do you know the Petersons? Matt and Rachel? I'm friends with them. My wife is friends with them. They used to live in our building. All right. Let's get to some of the trivia, because I didn't, we're playing the Do You Know Someone game. All right. You know what? I even did these ahead of time because I guess I'm on top of things today, kind of. All right. Well, let's do the first trivia. It's all of these are going to be true or false. Chicago Marathon myths. They're not really marathon. It's basically the same as last week where I just did London Marathon trivia. This time, I don't know. I like the alliteration of marathon myths, so we're going to do that. All right. So, here's the first question for trivia today. True or false? Everyone's got 50-50 chance. The Chicago Marathon starts in Grant Park, and then it quickly crosses the river and heads into Streeterville. And although it's now home to some of Chicago's most expensive commercial and residential real estate, true or false, Streeterville started out as a shanty town built on a sandbar. True or false? True or false? Mark says he does know Matt Peterson. Do they have a dog? What kind of? I don't know if it's the same Matt Peterson. Maybe. I'm not sure. Mayuki Sasagawa says, "Does the Chicago Marathon you're participating in have a qualification time?" There is not a minimum qualification time. Pretty much, I think 15 minutes per mile is maybe like the cutoff time in terms of when the sweepers come in. But basically, it's a lottery system, and then there's also there's no minimum time required to be able to enter the lottery, but there are good for age times that you can apply for. So at the different age groups, they have different time standards, and if you meet the time standards, then you can, I think, automatically qualify. And I think of all the world majors, I think Chicago's are the least difficult to hit in terms of the good for age. All right, so let's get to the was Streeterville a shantytown? And I think Martha says true. Jason Dahl says true with an exclamation point. I feel like you should probably follow what Jason's doing because he's from around here. Tracy Smith says true. New Belcher true. Frank also has true. Everyone's got true. You guys all have true. Mark Peterson says that seems true. Yeah. And Mark Peterson says the Matt Peterson that he knows does have a dog. So is his wife named Rachel? All right. But yes, it is absolutely true that Streeterville started out, legend has it, by I think it was a tugboat captain. It's always a tugboat captain, right? It's a tugboat captain named George Streeter, whose ship ran ashore on a sandbar in what is now known as Streeterville. He couldn't get the boat dislodged, so he just left it there, which is like an energy that I can really relate to. Yeah, your boat got stuck on the sandbar. And anyway, he basically just started squatting there, and then started renting out the space for people to dump stuff. So it was like a dump for a long time too, and then it just kind of kept building and building. I think also after the Great Chicago Fire, a lot of the debris just got like, of all the burnt buildings, got like bulldozed, or I don't know if bulldozers existed at the time of the Chicago Fire, but they got all dumped in that Streeterville area, so they basically became like landfill with the literal ashes of Chicago. And then people just started squatting on it, and became more and more filled in. And there was like this whole like kind of like mini government that he had set up. He claimed that he was a sovereign state and all that stuff. It was super crazy. Which, like, you know, I don't know, now it doesn't seem that crazy given the current like political climate. I'm like, I could see people doing that. So I guess like the more things change, more they stay the same. But Streeterville started out as a little shanty town. It wasn't actual like land, like when it started out. So there's that. Question one. Most of you got, I think all you guys got it right. I don't think anyone said false. All right. Steven C. 1984 says, "What's the Chicago Marathon weather looking like?" It looks like it's probably going to be a lot like today. I feel like it's going to seem like it's going to be about to rain the entire day. If it rains, I don't think it'll rain a lot. I think it'll be on the warm side. The big question, I think, will be two. One, I think it's going to be humid. But, like, if it rains a little bit or drizzles a little bit, then I think it'll be humidity that doesn't really bother us. But if it just never rains, I think it'll just start to get a little bit stifling. I'm also a little bit worried about the wind. Wind's been picking up lately. So we're supposed to get some storms on Thursday. I'll have a better idea after the storms pass through on Thursday, by the time we get to Friday. But it won't be cold. The question is whether it's going to be hot and or windy. So there's that. All right. Mark says the Matt Peterson that he knows, the wife's name is not Rachel. So it's not the Matt Peterson anyway. That's okay. All right. Let's get to question number 2. And we're going to kind of like go through all the Chicago neighborhoods. All right. True or false? Although I'm skipping from like mile 1 to mile 13. So true or false? At the halfway point, you'll be in Greektown, or just a little bit after the halfway point, you'll be in Greektown. And it's an area where you can get flaming cheese, Saganaki. But due to Chicago Fire Code, you can't get flaming cheese when you're sitting outdoors to eat it. True or false? True or false? Jason says, I wouldn't mind rain. Appeared in 2018 after getting rain on it around Mount 8 or so. I also had a really big day in 2018. That rain was nice. It did get hot right after the rain, though, so something to keep in mind. But, like, yeah, that rain was really, really nice. It was good. It was a good year. Martha says about, can you get Saganaki outside? She says that's false. Tracy Smith also says false. Frank says false. Jonathan says true. New Betcher says false. Steven C says false. Most of you guys are saying false. Mark Peterson says it's true because he says old laws are weird. They sure are. They sure are. And Martha says Saganaki flaming cheese sounds good now. I mean, they do the thing. They'll bring it out with ouzo and then pour it on and they light it and it goes, opa! They do that. And I feel like, you know, it's fun to see. It's delicious to eat, but I always feel bad ordering it because I'm like, you know, you guys can just burn it and bring it out to me later. You don't have to do the thing. And they're like, no, we'll do the thing. It's like, okay, all right. But the answer, it's true. As far as I know, the last time that I mean, it's been a couple of years since I verified this, but I remember my wife and I loved the flaming cheese, and it would be like anytime we went out to eat. This was like earlier when we moved to Chicago too. But like anytime we would go out to eat, we'd go to Greektown. I used to go to law school in that area too, so I was like kind of always there. And if you're sitting outdoor area, there's a restaurant called Athena's. I think it's still there. I don't know. I haven't like eaten at a restaurant outside of my neighborhood in 2 years. But Thomas Villa says, my wife. But yeah, so there's a restaurant, Athena's. I don't know, and at this point, buildings might be blocking new construction, maybe blocking the view, but it had this beautiful outdoor patio that looked straight at the Sears Tower. And we were like, oh, let's sit there, let's eat that dinner, and let's also get the flaming cheese. And they were like, we can't get you the flaming cheese out here. And we're like, what? And they're like, no, you can only do it inside. You can't have flaming cheese outside. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. I just had it inside. They're like, you can have it inside, but I'm like, you can have the fire inside, but you can't have a fire outside? They're like, yeah, that's the fire code. So that's my understanding. If anyone has a more updated understanding, I'm happy to be corrected. But I'm going to say it's true. And they were like, dude, the fire code. You can't have that flaming stuff outside. So there we go. And the long run says, sounds like the name of Scott band. Could be. Yeah, Thomasville says Flaming Cheese is a great band. Is a great band name. Yeah, well, Flaming lives. It's kind of like that. Martha says, how about Chicago pizza with the cheese flaming? Cross-country cuisine. That would be kind of fun. I mean, I don't know how much ouzo you'd need to be able to do that, but it'd be a lot. It could be a lot. All right. Yeah, Jason Dahl says Chicago has PTSD from the history of outdoor fire. It sure does. It's like there's like, remember yesterday what I was saying? Like anytime someone is a little bit weird about something, it's because there's a story behind it. Same thing was with Chicago. There's like so many weird things about Chicago that's like, oh yeah, remember like there was a great fire here, like the whole city was decimated. Yeah, that's kind of why we're a little bit touchy about it. So there's definitely that. All right, Maddie Mac says, hey, Co and Co, it's been too long. Good to see you all again. Well, it's good to see you, Maddie. Oh, look at that. You got a Sportster behind you in that photo. That's right. Is that a Sportster? It looks like a Sportster. Looks nice. Abhishek GS says, I know it's a flat race, but what's the hardest section of the Chicago Marathon after mile 13? I will say the section after mile 13. For me, maybe not right after mile 13, but you go out. So you kind of go up to, basically you go by my house, you turn around, you see my house again, then you'll come back through and you come back downtown. When you do that, you're at right about the half marathon point. Then you hook a right and you go west. And then you go west, kind of like just straight west for a really long time, and then you turn around and come back. When you hit that turn around and come back, that's like, that stretch is always really sunny, really hot, and there's usually not that many people because it's a kind of a hard place to get to, especially with public transportation. It's not really easy to reach. That part for me is the hardest mentally because it's like at that point a lot of people's packs have disintegrated, and like you're just kind of out there on your own, and you're like, oh boy, the cities. I could see the city skyline from here, but it's really far away. So that's kind of what I feel about it. That's for me is the hardest part. The other hard part for me mentally is after you pass Comiskey, and you pass the Sox Stadium, and then you're actually running south. You're running farther away from the city, and it's just like some random neighborhood that I don't really recognize all that well. It's not an area that I've really spent much time in before, and so like that part for me is also hard because again, there's not a lot of crowd support, and you're running away from the city, and every step you take, you're like, I have to run this step back to get back and finish this race. So that part's also a little bit hard. All right. Let's see. Mika Kataya says, evening all, 2 kilometer warm up, 2.5K at 5K pace, 2 kilometer cool down today. A lovely workout. That sounds nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. Glad to see you, Mika. Ooh, CJ says, yo, what's going on? My wife bought me a Capuzzi pass shirt right after I bought myself one. Darn, well, you know what you could do? You could either keep 2, or you can give 1 to a friend. So that's one you can do. But you know what? That's good on your wife. That's a good gift. Muad Akab says, is there any qualifying time for Chicago or lottery? Or simply first come, first serve? I want to do that next year. See CIM, the Moroccan runner. You got this. There's no qualifying time. It's not first come, first serve. It's a lottery system. So you'll have to do that. But if you have, you can also submit a good for age time to get an auto qualifier as well. And Chicago Marathon's auto qualifiers are easier than some of the other races. I was looking at, I think is it New York? New York has a half marathon qualifying time of 1:25, which I think I might be able to get. It would be a 71-second PR for me to do that, but I think I can do that. I don't remember what Germany's is, for Berlin's is. London's, the good for age is only applicable to UK residents. So, yeah. All right. Let's go to the next question, number 3. All right, we're going to get to mile 19. True or false? Around mile 19, you'll be in the Pilsen neighborhood, a Latino community known for giving out tamales to runners as they pass through. True or false? Ooh, Dr. Dress says, Tokyo has a standard of like 240. Yeah, I forget what other one I was looking at. It's like 245 for the marathon. I think that might be New York's. Is 245 for the marathon. I think 125 is easier to hit than 245. 125 for the half is easier to hit than 240, if I'm remembering it correctly. I didn't look at it too closely, but yeah. All right. Let's see. Jonathan Crossley says the tamales in Pilsen is true. Martha says it sounds true, but everything's been true so far. She's trying to game the test. Frank says false. And Sai says, Kofuzi, you look better now than you did 4 years ago. Well, thank you. That's very flattering. Wayne Westby says, false. Those are bananas. And Duke BB22 says, true. McBetcher says, true. JC, who's got a marathon in 2 months, says, true. Mark Peterson also coming, true. And the answer is, I think it's probably false. So I'm with Wayne Westby. One time when I was running the marathon, I was like, they got the mariachi bands out there. People come out. Community support is fantastic. So much energy. I do think that there are ladies that are giving out like agua frescas and stuff, like Kool-Aid in like little plastic bags. So I've seen that before too. So there's lots of stuff, and people are giving out like orange slices, and it's super fun to come through there. One year I was like, before I even got there, I was like, I want a tamale. Tamales are real good. There's a really strong like Mexican community here and overall Latinx community, and just like the food here is real good, and I love tamales. And I was craving a tamale that year, and I was like, oh, I'm in Pilsen, maybe there'll be a tamale somehow. And I could have swore I saw a guy giving out tamales, and I got up to it, and I'm like this, and then I saw it was a banana cut in half, and I was like, oh no, I don't want a banana. That's part of why I really dislike bananas, because they've always been disappointing to me. And that's like the pinnacle disappointing banana story for me. So there's that. But yeah, as far as I know, it's false. Someone has once told me that they got a tamale from someone in Pilsen, but I've not been able to verify that at all. So I'm going to say that it's probably false. People do give out bananas and fruit, though. It's a great neighborhood. Yeah, Dr. Josh's. It was a tamale mirage. Yeah. Yeah. And Martha says, "So my gut instinct was right." It was. It was right. Trevor says agrees that it's false. I'll be sad if true. No one's handed him a tamale. Yeah, I'm gonna look for it this year. I look for it every year to see if anyone will be handing out tamales, but I've never seen one. I would love it. There's where my wife lived when we were still dating. She was living with her cousin, but they lived in an area where we would go to this bar all the time, and then there was this tamale dude who'd show up at the bar. Like the bar didn't have like a restaurant and stuff for it, and he would just show up late at night after the lady selling roses, but like there was a dude that would show up with like an igloo cooler full of tamales, and it was just the tamale guy, and I just loved that guy. I was like, oh, I wish this guy would just follow me around places so I can really. Maddie Mac says, "Co, you make running a marathon look too easy. Completed my first last month, and it was so hard." Well, I'm glad that it looks easy because it's hard. Marathons are hard. I think that's what makes it so like. That's why people fall in love with it because it's elusive to be able to do it well. It's not just about fitness. It's about a lot of other things. So yeah, it is so hard. It is so hard, but that's part of what makes it great. Andres Orbe says Tamale Guy opened up his own store. It's great. I thought I heard something like that, but I didn't know if it was like the same Tamale Guy. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of tamale people. Yeah, but I love tamales. The problem is, and Frank's been bringing it up. He says, all the masa made here has lard in it. That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to be more plant-based, and sometimes like if a soup has like beef stock in it, I won't make too big a deal of it. But a lot of times tamales, even vegetarian tamales, or what seem like to have vegetable fillings, like a cheese filling or something like that, they won't be completely vegetarian. So there's that. But it's one of those kind of like gray areas that I'll kind of accept, I guess. Jared Crandall says, "Great Bank of America Chicago video." Thanks, Jared. That was the one that I've been working on for a long time, and we kind of went back and forth. They didn't have any substantive edits, so they were really great to be able to work with. I wanted it to come out before the London Marathon happened, but like I just couldn't get the approvals quick enough, and so it came out on Monday. But I think that the timing also works out well for that too, because then it's like now I'm not trying to like distract from London. London happened, and now we're ready for Chicago. But yeah, I really enjoyed making that one. And I mean, it's my favorite race. It goes by my house. It's my hometown, or my adopted hometown, I guess. So yeah. All right. Let's see. Give me a second here. All right. Let's get to the next question. All right. We were at mile 19 at Pilsen. Now we're going to go to mile 21/22. All right. True or false? At mile 21, right before Chinatown, you can have volunteers spray menthol spray on you. True or false? Menthol spray. You can ask people to spray menthol on you. True or false? Old Icky Runner says, "I've done 3 marathons in my life, all Chicago, 2014, 15, and 17. Jealous I won't be there this year, but we'll be running CIM in December. I hope you have a great race." Well, Old Icky Runner, I'll be in CIM as well, so we'll have to meet up and get together, do a shakeout or something. And James Voss says, "Do you have a nutrition plan in mind?" Yeah, I'll be making a more detailed video about it, probably coming out Thursday, where I'll talk about kind of like my race plan, pace, kit, all that kind of stuff. And my strategy. But basically, I'm going to bring 6 gels and take one every 4 miles. So that's the basic plan. But yeah. All right. So you guys, Martha thinks maybe it's Tiger Balm that you can get sprayed on you for the menthol. Trevor says it's true that you can get menthol sprayed on you. Maddie Mac says true, LOL. Jonathan Krause says this has to be false. Simon Hong says it's true. James Voss says biofreeze, question mark. Jared Gurner says false biogrease. John Davis says biofreeze. Tracy says it's true. Yeah, and Wayne says true, would love to see the science on that. Yeah. Yeah, Mark Peterson says, well, it's biofreeze. I suppose that has menthol. And in the Dr. Josh says, actually true, biofreeze is a sponsor. Yeah, biofreeze is a big sponsor. And, at that spot, there's like a pit stop, right? So like what you can do is there's like the side of the road where you can run in. And like as you run in, someone comes like in a biofreeze like shirt and everything like that, runs by you and they're like, where do you need to get sprayed? And then you get to like the staging area, and then you'll stop off to the side, and then you'll tell them like my calves, my quads, whatever, and then they'll spray you down, and then you can continue running, and then you kind of like join back with the rest of the course, and then you hit the right turn to go down through Chinatown. So it's pretty funny to see. I've seen lots of people do it. I've never done it myself. I've not used anything like that since high school before. So like I don't even know what biofreeze. I mean, I think I have an idea what biofreeze is like. I used to use it all the time when I was pole vaulting, but not biofreeze. I don't remember what it was called. I don't think it was icy hot, but it was like a cold spray, and it just made everything like instantly freezing cold. Kind of like if you could put an ice pack on and continue running. So it was kind of cool. So like I don't know if it. I mean, I guess it's biofreeze, so maybe it makes it. It does have that same cooling property, or maybe it's just the evaporating menthol that does that. I'm not sure, but it's true. You can have them spray menthol on it, and they treat it just like a pit stop too, like at a NASCAR race. They want to get you in and out as fast as possible. It's really funny to watch. Dr. Josh says it's big in the Cairo world. Is it? Huh. Cole Thomas wants to know if it's Bengay. Is it Bengay? I used to use Tiger Balm a lot. I never really used Bengay too much because it just didn't smell all that great. Maddie Mac says, getting the biofreeze spraying flies in the face of nothing new on race day. Well, I feel like at that point, people are like 21 miles in, and they're like, oh, if I'm going to make it another 5, if I got another 8K to go, I'm going to need some help. So I think that's what people do. Wayne says a Slurpee would be better than biofreeze. I feel like at this point 7-Eleven needs to be a race sponsor somehow. I don't know how they would do that. The refrigeration requirements you'd have to bring like a Slurpee machine right out there. I don't even know how you could do that, but like, can you imagine if they had Slurpees on a course at a race? I think that'd be amazing. All right. Shannon says, that Bank of America run inspiration video was amazing. Love and Gracie's appearance. Well, thanks so much. Yeah, I did have a lot of fun with that. And there was the I felt like, for a lot of people, there's a family connection with marathon running too. So I thought I put it in there. Simon Hong says, will you come to New York City eventually? Are you looking into doing all the world majors? Getting like the 6-star doesn't interest me that much, but those are good ways to travel to interesting places in the world. I am planning on going to New York for the marathon this year to watch. So I think I'm going to go to my parents' house, stay there in New Jersey. I think I have my dad drop me off at like a bus stop so I can cross the river and then head into the city or something like that. And then I'll kind of hang out all day. Santiago Casanelli says, where can I buy Martin gels in Chicago? It's a question I've been getting a lot lately. And I would say the best thing to do is get the Martin gels before you leave Chicago. I mean, if you can at this point. I mean, we're getting really close. Because, like, everyone's, like, 35,000 runners are coming in and are going to be looking for Martin gels. Right? So, like, I remember I was at Heartbreak the day that they did their 20-mile run, which was, like, the day before I did my 20-mile run with Kara. And they were like, yeah, we can't get enough Martin gels in. I mean, and as soon as we get it, like, they'll put a box out, and then, like, the box, like, the area in the store where we have it, people are buying up the entire thing, like, their entire inventory, like, right away. So, like, Heartbreak Run Company is a place that has some, or they normally have some. I don't know what their inventory is going to be like by the time, like, everyone gets here. Fleet Feet has it as well, but, again, same thing. Roadrunner Sports usually has a really good selection of, like a variety of gels. But again, I don't know how many they're going to have either. Fleet Feet has multiple locations in Chicago, by the way. So that's another thing to check out. They have one in the South Loop. They have one in Old Town. They have one kind of closer to me up here in Lakeview, although I'm like equidistant from two of them. So those are some places. I think that you'll be able to, I'm guessing that there might be some people at the expo that are selling them too. There's usually people that are selling gels at the expo. Usually it's goos, you know, but I don't know if people will be selling them. But yeah, those are kind of be the places that I would look at. All right. Well, let's get to yeah. Wayne Westby says like I'll have a cooler of Martin's in a side alley, $10 each. I mean, yeah, I don't know how Martin is making enough gels. They're going to be on course at Boston, and then we just had Berlin and London, right? And so it's just like they're making enough for Chicago, and then Tokyo. I mean, I guess maybe like they don't have to. All the ones that would have been like kind of sent to Japan for Tokyo, you know, they don't need to make those, or they could just divert those or whatever. But then you still got New York coming up, so like I don't know how they're even making enough. So. Oh, Martha says they sell Martins on Running Warehouse. Why didn't you know that? That's good to know. So I mean, I would say like, don't be on a wild goose chase for gels and stuff like that when you get here. Bring it with you. Keep in mind though, when you fly, gels count as liquids, so just be aware of that. You might want to put it in your checked luggage, or when you come through security, you have to fit it in that like little baggie that you have. Benjamin Salazar says, "Come to Mexico to run the marathon." I would love to. Traveling's a little bit hard right now, though. M. says, I ran my first Chicago half marathon about 2 weeks ago. Awesome. And I came in at 2:06:25. I was aiming for under 2 hours, but the Charlie horses got in the way of that. Is that an acceptable time, though? It is. My first marathon was like 2:05 something. So you're doing great. You're in great company. Martha says, for Boston, because Martha's running Boston, says they're having a Martin kiosk at the expo with packs of gel/drink mix that you can reserve in advance. She's bringing her own home. There you go. That's the way to do it. Dr. Josh says the feed also has Martin. There we go. We're getting some sourcing going on here now. Nice. And Dr. Josh says I was fine flying with the Martin. Okay, cool. Very good. Wei Long says Martin has been stashing them since 2020. Yeah, maybe they have been. But you know that stuff goes bad. It goes bad relatively quick. I think it goes bad faster than regular gels. I've certainly had some that were like way, like overinflated. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, something is eating the sugars in there, and it's expiring, exhaling. You know, so yeah. All right. Jay says, Next Percent 2 or Endorphin Speed 2 for a 4-hour marathon. I'll buy one of them next week. I think they're both going to be a good choice. I would like both of those. I think that, I might also look at I think that more interesting comparison would be the Alpha Fly versus Endorphin Speed 2. I'm guessing maybe you've thought about it. Maybe something about it doesn't agree with you. So I might say the Endorphin Speed 2 might be a little bit easier on you for a longer event, like for 4 hours, but I think the Next Percent 2 is also going to be really good. They're both going to be good. So, I like them both. I did the Endorphin Speed 1 for my Heritage Trail run, which was like 5 hours maybe? Something like that. Martha wants to know, should I refrigerate my box of Martins to extend their life? I don't know. I just keep mine regularly in the fridge. Not in the fridge, in my cupboard, like just in like a closet. I don't keep it refrigerated. Sorry. Jensen says fermented Martin offers a bigger boost. I mean, we could call that like Gold Label or something. Like just like a box full of puffy Martins. Oh boy. Oh, that's crazy. All right, let's get to some more. Number 5. All right, we're going to talk about... some of you guys were talking about this already when we're talking about, is the Chicago Marathon course difficult? True or false? At mile 26, you'll hit what we call Mount Roosevelt. It's a bridge. It's not that big. But at mile 26, you'll hit Mount Roosevelt, and the elevation gain on this bridge is 40 feet. True or false? Martha says for Martins they already have the caffeinated version and the fermented alcoholic version. Yeah. What would they say that instead of like CAF 100? It could be ALC 100. There we go. Like 100 proof Martin. John Cunningham says, what do you think about Boston opening registration 4 weeks after Chicago? 2022 Boston is in April. Yeah, I think that what it does is it gives people enough time to run not only their October marathons, but also the early November marathons too, right? Because in 4 weeks, does that include, will your New York marathon, if someone's running New York marathon, will that count? Or if you're running Indianapolis marathon, for example, those are 2 pretty big ones. So I feel like that, I think, would make some sense. I wish that were even later so that my CIM could count, you know? I mean, it's a weird year, right? So might as well make it like January 1st, you know? Or December 10th or something like that, you know? So I think that, like, if it's 4 weeks after Chicago, might not make it 5, and then people can have more time to come out of kind of, you know, their respective bunkers and then do it, you know? So I think that's one way, but I think also the other thing might be like, I don't know, I guess they could have, like, do they normally do it closer to Chicago? I don't know when they normally do it. I think that Boston's going to be pretty full next year because I think a lot of people couldn't make it here this year for travel reasons, or deferments, you know, and so I think 2022 Boston's still going to be, I don't think they're going to have any problem. All right, so back to the question of Mount Roosevelt. Is it 40 feet? Dr. Josh says true. Thomas Villa says true. Frank says false. Let's see. Remy's here. He says made it just in time for the big finish. Jason Dahl says it's true, 40 feet, but it feels like a lot more though. Maddie Mac says false. It's got to be more. Martha says bridges cambers are pretty significant. I've done a race over the Golden Gate. Quite a hill. That's a big hill. That's a really big one. But the span is really large too though. I will say, all right, we got lots of answers here. The answer is it's false. It's not 40 feet. It's like 10 or 15 feet, believe it or not. It's not a lot. It seems like so much more than 10 or 15 feet. But I saw it, someone was talking about it in a Runner's World article, so that's one source. And they were like, you know, it's only like 10 feet. So I didn't think that was super precise. So I went back and I looked at my last 2019, my actual GPS reading and my altimeter readings, and it looks like maybe it's like 15 feet. It's not a lot. It's very, very small hill. It's just pretty steep because it happens relatively quickly. So, yeah, it's not a big hill, guys. It feels like a lot. It feels like so much. Jason Dahl said it well. True, it feels like a lot more though. It feels like 40 feet, but it's only about 10. So there you go. Yeah. Tracy Smith says it's false. It's hundreds of feet. Yeah. All right. Remy says, I walked that monster climb to finish Chicago. No shame. There's a lot of people that do. People are just like strewn all over the place when they come up that hill. It's pretty funny. And so like you're making a right turn and then an immediate left. So you're kind of cutting diagonally as you're going up the bridge. And so like there's people like on each side of like the kind of the diagonal line that you can, the blue line that people follow. There's just people all over the place because they want to like pull off to the side, stretch out a calf or something like that. So it's pretty funny to see. Tracy says, I'm going to die in Boston if Mount Roosevelt is only 15 feet. Yeah, I've been looking at some of the other races, the elevation profiles, and I was like, oh. Because I thought Berlin was flat and fast too, but then Welsh Runner was talking about it's actually kind of rolling. So I was looking at the profile, and I was like, oh, it is rolling. And then I was looking at the profile for Boston, and like, you know, I've heard, you know, it's downhill for like the first half, and people get too excited and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Then I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot. That's a big drop. It's a really big drop. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, let's get to the, before we get to the bonus question, let's talk about this. James Voss says, I told you about training for the Portland half. Just ran it in 1:21:20. Awesome. That's super fast. You did the next percent too per the recommendation above the endorphin speed. Thanks, Go. Well, awesome, James. That's a blazing fast time. Really, really cool. All right, let's do the bonus question for today. Okay. True or false? For the finish zone, which this year they're calling, I don't know if they always call it this, but this year they're calling it the Abbott 27.2. For the finish zone, Goose Island, which was originally a Chicago-based brewery. Now it got purchased by some other conglomerate and is part of a portfolio of brews. But for the finish zone, Goose Island makes a special beer for the Chicago Marathon. True or false? True or false? All right. Frank says true. Thomas Villa says true. Anton Pokaziev says true. Dr. Josh says they use leftover fermented Martin for it. Can you imagine that? I mean, that'd be a pretty cool combo. Because, you know, like, historically, like, bakers and brewers were always good friends. Malts, yeasts, that kind of thing. Yeah. But if there were a way to make, like, runner food and then beer at the same time. Well, I guess breads and bagels are runner food, right? So maybe it is. Yeah, so let's see what else we got here. We've got Tracy Smith says true. Matthew Wenzel says true. Leader Boss says true. JC says sounds reasonable. Samus says true. Matthew says 26.2 AL. Well, I'm going to go with Jason Dahl says sort of true. Isn't just Dry Hop 312 that's also available in stores. I don't know if it's just a Dry Hop 312, but I think that beer that marathon beer that they made, Matthew's calling it the 26.2 AL. Is that what it was called? I think that they made that in 2018. I don't remember if they had it in 2019 or if it was just a special can. But as far as I know, they're not making that brew anymore. I don't know if it's called something else now. Maybe they changed the formula for it or something. But I don't think they make it anymore. This year, according to the Chicago Marathon website, they're going to have 312, the regular, like it's a urban, they call it their urban wheat ale. So it's a wheat beer. They'll have 312, their Next Coast IPA, which is pretty tasty, or the 312 Lemonade Shandy. Now, 312 is the Chicago's phone area code. So you can get a wheat beer, an IPA, or a Shandy. So those are going to be your options post-race this year at the Chicago Marathon. So not their 26.2 ale. So kind of a trick question for you guys. That's what makes it a bonus. Oh, that running guy's here. He says, sorry to be late to the party. Sound is very missy. I'm sorry about that. I'm just struggling. I don't know why it's so bad. It sounds so good to me from when I hear it. There's just something that's happening lost in translation between here and the internet. I'm sorry about that, guys. Jared says they did have it in 2019. I don't recall if they had. 2019 was so cold. I remember afterwards. I just didn't want to drink any beers. It was so windy that day. I was reading an article on Runner's World. I forget who wrote it, but it wasn't anyone that I've ever met before, or that I interact with on Twitter. Not that I know all this Runner's World. I know one person who writes for Runner's World, but or I've met one person that writes for Runner's World. But they were like, yeah, 2019, the weather was great. Remember Bridget Koskei set a world record? And I was like, 2019 the weather was not great. It was really cold. And it was super windy. And Bridget Koskei had 3 6-foot-tall pacers blocking the wind for her the entire time. And it didn't get windy until after she finished. Because she finished super fast. Because she set a world record. But, yeah, 2019, I just remember thinking, like, if I can find a sunny spot to drink a beer, and I'll drink a beer. But otherwise, I'm leaving. Because I'm just too cold. It was so cold that day. Our running guy says, tip for marathon runners, stick to your plan and don't do what I did. Oh man, you went for it though. You gotta go for it. I'm proud of you. John Cunningham says, true or false, you made my wife cry with the motivation video. Is it true? I mean, there's something about it. I mean, is it lame to admit that like I watched my own video and got like emotional over it? Because I watched it a lot of times before I was able to publish it. And I got, you know, it just brings back a lot of memories over the last like year and a half, you know, and there's a lot of stuff that I think I haven't processed yet that I'm processing through this video. So I'm glad you guys liked it. Yeah, Micah Brown says you gotta get that post-race hydration on point. Yeah, for sure. So there'll be beers at the 27.2 Abbott Festival. And you know what, guys? I think I'm gonna go. I mentioned in like my weekend schedule that I might go home right away after the race. I think I'm just gonna head over all super sweaty and nasty right over to the Tracksmith house because it's gonna be like across the street. And so then I think I might go there and grab a beer and then come home and shower and then go to the pizza party. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm kind of doing. I don't know. I just have to see like, how long am I out there on the course? If I'm out there on the course a long time, or if like, if I'm talking with people and we're hanging out afterwards, then I'll stay and I will just go directly to Tracksmith. But if it's like I'm there and like no one's there, then I might take off and shower. But I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Matthew Wetzel says, trying to decide between Endorphin Speed and Treyu Artist for Sunday. Any thoughts? I'd probably go with the Endorphin Speed. I think that it handles, I think it's more consistent for longer. The Treyu Artist, I only ran in a pre-production model, and then the production model has a thicker carbon plate than I had. But I felt like the foam it didn't die, but I don't feel like it had the consistency that the Power Run PB had for a very long run. So that's kind of where I would go. But the Treyu Artist is much more cushy. So it depends on which are you valuing a little bit more. So that's another way to look at it too. Yeah, Martha says, Tracksmith house will smell like a real track house after the workout. And Dr. Josh says he's going to plan on heading to the Tracksmith house too. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be cool. Hopefully I'll see you there. Remy says, publishing videos is a form of therapy, right? Well, I mean, creating any kind of thing, I don't want to call it art, but like creating stuff and putting it out there, I think definitely. And you're putting yourself out there. I mean, if it's meaningful and if you're enjoying it, you can't help but imprint yourself onto it, So, yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's see. Let's get a couple more. And then I got to get going for today. Martha says, I hope the Chicago Marathon medals aren't as big as heavy as the half marathon. Who wants to schlep something like that after a marathon? The Chicago Marathon medals are very normal. They're very normal sized. One year they had a square one. That was the ugliest one I bet they've ever had. The shirts also that year were a terrible blue color, and the design was just awful. I don't know what they were going for, but it just didn't really work for me. The color didn't work, and the shape of the medal was annoying. But normally they have just like a regular round normal one. And I like that. So I think I don't know, have I seen I've seen the one for this year. It just looks like a regular normal Chicago Marathon medal, which I hope people aren't disappointed by that. I wouldn't want a giant one either. I mean, they're fun. They're certainly fun, but like it's weird because like I feel like once you go giant, you can't be like, well, next year we're gonna have a regular size one. Then people will be like, what the heck? Yeah, I don't know. Martha says, I think I'll see a serious runner at Tracksmith on Sunday morning. Any messages you'd like to deliver? Just tell him it's too close. Too close. But he needs to back off a little bit. He's hitting it a little bit too close to home. So, I don't know. That's all I'd say. I'd wish him good luck. If I were fast enough, he was like, I don't know how I'm going to have someone. I forget who, I was listening to a podcast interview with him. Was it on Rambling Runner? I think it was on Rambling Runner, maybe. And he was like, he's gonna run the Boston Marathon in character, but he's trying to figure out a way like how to do it because like he's like a serious runner would not carry a GoPro with himself because then it would slow him down, and that's not what a serious runner would do. And I was like, well, I wish I was as fast as him because then I could volunteer some other race. Well, not at Boston, but maybe some other race to follow him around. But he's a little bit faster than I am, I think. Martha says, I'm going to give him a hard time. I think, as you should. I think everyone should give him a hard time. Awesome. All right, I think that's a good place to end it for today, guys. Thanks everybody for playing trivia today. Hope you enjoyed it. Apologize again for the audio issues. I'm going to spend a little bit more time trying to listen to like the actual YouTube side of it as well. I'm trying to figure out where we're hitting some of these issues. I'm not really sure. I'll get it sorted out though. All right, tomorrow's video, I can't talk to you guys yet about it for like embargo reasons, but there will be a video tomorrow, and then we'll do another live stream, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you guys then. Until then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.